Economic analysis of the cell phone oligopoly. Abstract. An oligopoly is a market type in which an industry is controlled by a small number of sellers/firms, and their products are either homogeneous or differentiated. Market participants usually predict the actions of the competitor. The cell phone industry is a good example of an oligopolistic market structure since the number of organizations serving the industry is small. The industry is dominated by organizations such as Nextel/Sprint and Verizon, among others. The existence of oligopolistic market structures exists in markets where there are large initial capital requirements, scarcity of growth opportunities, and due to government regulations. The paper will focus on the nature of the oligopoly market in the cell phone industry. Essentially, it will discuss how firms in the industry compete, how prices are determined, the effects of demand elasticity on competition, and the application of game theory. In addition, the essay will discuss the equilibrium point of maximizing profits and the advantages and disadvantages of the market structure. Oligopoly competition. A few large suppliers characterize oligopoly market structures, where the products are differentiated or homogeneous, and the firm in the industry is driven by self-interest to set prices and output levels to maximize profits. The cell phone industry is one of those kinds where products offered by the players are homogeneous, and the competition is judged by price. According to Thomas and Charles, the decisions of one company influence the decisions of competitors, and the decisions of competitors influence the decisions of a company. Generally, competition in the industry takes three forms. These are recompetition, in which one company becomes a price leader, larger firms become price setters and/or leaders while smaller ones become price takers, and a cartel system in which firms collude to agree on prices to surpass stiff competition. Generally, the ability of the firm to dominate the market and have a probability of control is determined by the economies of scale. This implies that organizations that take advantage of economies of scale in oligopolistic markets will set lower prices and produce larger quantities, becoming cost and price leaders. Conversely, two or more firms in the industry might collude to lessen the level of competition by forming cartels. In this case, small firms will be denied entry and, if exist, remain as price takers. Typical case in the cell industry is where dominant firms such as Verizon takes lead in making prices and impacts the price decisions on the small firms, thus becoming price leader. Oligopoly price determination. If an industry is composed of a few cell phone firms, each selling identical or homogeneous products and having a powerful influence on the total market, the price and output programs of each are likely to affect the other significantly. This will consequently promote collusion, leading to industry cartels. In case there is product differentiation, an oligopolistic firm can raise or lower prices without any fear of losing customers or immediate reactions from its rivals. However, intense competition among them may build up a condition of monopolistic competition. For an individual company in oligopolistic competition, prices are determined as illustrated by the following graph. MC is the marginal cost, MR is the marginal revenue, while AC is the average cost. From the graph, profits are maximized when the marginal cost equals marginal revenues, a point noted as the equilibrium point. The industry faces two demand curves, a normal demand curve and a marginal revenue curve that also acts as a demand curve. At low prices, the firm faces fairly inelastic market demand. The two market demand curves produce point P, which is the firm's price and the maximum revenue point. Therefore, the market demand curve that the oligopolistic structures actually face is the kinked demand curve. From the graph, the kinked demand curve can be noted by points BCQ. Oligopolistic prices are determined where marginal costs intersect with the marginal revenue curve. Demand elasticity in oligopolistic markets. The above graph indicates that oligopolistic market demand curves are mostly kinked. If, for instance, one company increases its price above the equilibrium price P, it is assumed that the other firms in the industry will change their prices to affect the market price dynamism. Alternatively, if one firm changes prices and assumes the role of price leader, other companies will be price takers. Ideally, the effect of price leadership in being a price taker is caused by the kinked demand curve. In this case, firms will never change their prices in the short run since a small change may cause companies to lose customers. Normally, firms in the industry assume price increases as a strategy to achieve a larger market share with lower price advantages. Moreover, the elasticity will create a small gain of customers if prices are largely decreased. This will consequently result in a price war among firms or industry-developing cartels. In such a case, in the long run, new entrants will often enter the industry. Game theory in oligopolistic markets. Shah, N.D., indicates that game theory exists in oligopolistic structures and refers to approaches to gain a competitive position in terms of moves and counter interchanges. The strategic approach takes three elements that include firms, strategies, and payoffs. The cell phone industry is a common example where game theory exists. Organizations such as Verizon and Sprint act as players, their decisions on pricing and promotions act as strategies, while the payoffs are profits or losses they make from such strategic moves. Essentially, firms in the cell phone industry, which is an oligopolistic market, will choose strategies with better payoffs, which will further contribute to a competitive advantage in the market. Profit maximization in oligopolistic structures. In an oligopoly market, the profit in firm is maximized at a point where marginal revenue curves intersect marginal costs curve. Oligopoly marginal revenue is also a demand curve, and the point at which average costs and the demand curve meet determines the maximum profits. According to Riley, the kinked demand curve model predicts periods of relative price stability under an oligopoly with businesses focusing on non-price competition as a means of reinforcing their market position and increasing their supernormal profits. Therefore, profits are maximized at an industry level while firms enjoy a suboptimal equilibrium. Oligopolistic markets, benefits and disadvantages. Oligopolistic market structures offer both advantages and disadvantages for consumers. On the positive side, competition among firms often leads to better product quality and reduced costs, as businesses strive to outperform one another. In their efforts to retain customers, companies also tend to provide more comprehensive services, enhancing the overall consumer experience. Additionally, the pressure to stand out encourages high levels of innovation and creativity, resulting in a steady stream of new products. Consumers also benefit from frequent discounts and promotions, as firms actively advertise and differentiate their offerings. Furthermore, contractual agreements between producers and consumers help to formalize relationships and provide a degree of security. However, there are notable drawbacks as well. Oligopolistic competition can sometimes lead to collusion among firms, resulting in the formation of cartels that limit consumer influence over pricing decisions. This market behavior often creates volatility in prices and production levels, which can confuse or mislead buyers and disrupt their decision-making processes. Moreover, when firms form alliances to stabilize unpredictable markets, it may lead to reduced competition and ultimately harm the broader economy.